Welcome to This Explainer. I am so thrilled you're joining me today because we are going to unpack something truly special. You know how we do it here? We take fascinating source material and we break it all down to uncover those deeper meanings hiding right in plain sight. Today, we're opening up a beautiful, deceptively simple modern fable called The Golden Fish of American Waters. Now, at first glance, it kind of reads like your standard children's story, right? We've got a small fish, a quiet setting, a mild adventure. But when we actually analyze the text, wow, we uncover this deeply profound meditation on community, purpose, and the human, or, well, in this case, the fish desire for significance. So settle in and let's go on a bit of a literary journey.
Okay, let's dive into this, because the core philosophical theme of our story comes down to one universal question. Must we leave our homes to achieve true greatness? It's a huge question, isn't it? I mean, we're constantly sold this narrative that greatness exists somewhere else, that to be a hero or to do something that actually matters, you've got to pack your bags, leave your small town or your quiet lake, and venture out into the great unknown. But this story, it challenges that exact assumption. It really forces us to ask whether significance is a place we travel to or an action we take right where we stand.
Section 1. The Dreamer's Quiet Lake.
So, every great story has to establish its world. And here we meet our protagonist, Sunny. He's a small golden fish living in a quiet lake in America. But check out this brilliant contrast. On one hand, we have Sunny's physical reality, a quiet lake in America. It implies stillness, safety, maybe even a bit of predictability. But on the other hand, we have his internal desire, which is exploring the world beyond the water. Unlike the other fish who are, perfectly content with their aquatic boundaries, Sunny looks at the surface of the water and sees a barrier keeping him from his true potential. He equates that world beyond with greatness and excitement.
Because he longs for that outside world so much, Sunny becomes this quiet observer. The text tells us that every single day, he swims right up to the surface just to watch. And what does he see? People fishing, children laughing, birds flying in the sky. Now to us on land, these are completely everyday, ordinary occurrences. But for Sunny, looking up from the water's edge, these moments represent a vast, vibrant, totally unreachable world. He's basically building a vision of greatness based entirely on what he can't have. He's a spectator to life, yearning to be a participant, totally convinced his current environment is just way too small for his big dreams.
Section 2. The Sudden Storm Strikes.
Of course, a protagonist can't remain a passive observer forever. Nature always forces a choice. The pacing shifts dramatically here, so let's see how this builds. It starts out like any other day. Morning arrives. But then, bam! A strong storm suddenly hits. The environment instantly transforms from totally calm to absolute chaos as the waves become rough. And then we get the inciting incident. A toy boat is swept away into the middle of the lake. Notice how the author uses rapid progression here. We go from a peaceful morning to an uncontrollable natural event in literally just a few words. The comfortable, predictable world Sunny knows is suddenly turned completely upside down.
But here's the thing, the storm itself isn't the real crisis. The text grounds all this chaos in something deeply emotional. It says, the little boy looked worried. Suddenly, the stakes become incredibly personal. It's no longer just about rough water or bad weather. It's about a child standing on the shore, totally helpless, watching something he loves drift away. Sunny, who spent all this time observing the laughter and joy of these children from afar, now witnesses their real distress. The world beyond the water isn't just a place of magic anymore. It's a place that actually needs help.
Section 3. The Power of Teamwork.
This right here is the absolute pivot point of the fable. Will Sunny retreat to the safety of the deep water, or will he step up? Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer simplicity and power of his reaction. We can help. It is the climactic call to action. Sunny doesn't say, "Oh, I wish I could help," or "Somebody really should do something." No, he takes immediate ownership of the situation. But even more importantly, he says we. He rallies his fellow fish. In a split second, Sunny transforms from a solitary dreamer staring at the sky into an active, vocal leader within his own community.
The text then outlines this incredible sequence of collective action. Step 1, Sunny gathers all the fish. He unifies them. Step 2, together they push the toy boat back to shore. Think about it. A single small fish could never fight those rough waves alone, but a unified community working in perfect concert, that creates a force way stronger than the chaotic waters. And finally, step 3, the little boy smiles. Order is restored. The worry is completely replaced by joy. Through this coordinated effort, the fish pull off the impossible. And just look at the result. The boy shouts, "Thank you, magical fish!" Think about the irony here for a second.
The fish didn't use magic. I mean, spoiler alert, there were no tiny underwater wands involved. They used effort, teamwork, and kindness. But to the person standing on the shore, watching his lost toy defy a literal storm and return to him, the act is so extraordinary that it can only be described as magic. Sunny and his friends created a miracle for someone else, not by being supernatural, but just by being united and willing to act.
Section 4. Discovering greatness at home.
Let's take a collective breath here and look at the aftermath of the storm. The text tells us that from that day forward, the people believed the lake had a golden fish with a kind heart. Sunny's identity has fundamentally transformed in the eyes of the human world. He is no longer just some invisible creature swimming below the surface. He's been elevated to the status of a local legend. The very people he used to idolize and watch from afar now look at the water with reverence, knowing a hero lives within it. By acting kindly within his own domain, Sunny bridged the gap between his world and the world he always dreamed of.
So the crucial point of the entire text is this: you don't have to leave home to do something great. This is the profound central thesis of the whole story. Sunny spent his life wishing he could escape his boundaries, genuinely believing his small lake was an obstacle to a meaningful life. But when the moment required it, he discovered that he possessed all the tools necessary for greatness right where he was. Greatness wasn't a geographical location. It wasn't about exploring the sky or walking on land. Greatness was a choice to be kind, to lead, and to help others when the storm arrived.
Which leaves us with this final thought. We all have our own quiet lakes, don't we? We all have places in our lives that feel too small or too ordinary or too restrictive, while we dream of the grand, exciting world out there. But the story of the golden fish reminds us that opportunities for profound impact are swimming all around us, every single day. You just have to be willing to look for the lost boats in your own waters. So I leave you with this. Where will you find your greatness today? Right where you are. Thank you so much for exploring this with me. Keep learning, keep looking closely, and I'll see you next time.